It is February the 5th. On this very sunny day in Barcelona, welcome to Start at Frame 1. And we are live. Welcome to episode number 4 of Start at Frame 1, my animation live stream. My name is Andy, I'm a 2D animator and illustrator. And I'm gonna give you some insights of my working process here during that stream. Today we're gonna work as the last episodes in Photoshop, and I wanna welcome all of you happy people out there on this Friday. Maybe you're still at work, maybe you're already at home. I'm happy you made it. So, I have my naughty glove on, and I would be ready to dive in. First of all, I thought I would like to do a short recap on what we've done in the previous episodes, as we sometimes leave our animations at certain points that could still be improved, but in order to get new content, we skip ahead and then just do another thing in the next episode. So not to leave those things unfinished, I was quite busy cleaning some stuff up, and I just wanted to show you a little bit for those of you who haven't seen what we've done so far. A little bit of the revisions about what we've done so far. So let's jump into our very first episode. There we did this little guy. And he was walking. The goal was to do a basic animation walk cycle, which we accomplished. In this episode, this was where we finished it up. To get a little bit more insight, what we have here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drawings to complete the walk cycle. Each drawing takes 4 frames. So the result of that and the goal of this exercise was just to define the movement of the body. We already exceeded that by basically doing a very good cleanup on the sketch. We ended up with this result, and we did a cleanup as our reference illustration that we have here of our Tentacle Boy. We added those colors and made the Tentacle Boy walk, which looks like this. Now, what I've done since we left our sketch where we finished, I divided each drawing, which took 4 frames, and only made each drawing 2 frames. So the whole animation is twice as fast as it is before. So to keep the same pace of our layout that we had here on 4 frames each drawing, I had to add additional drawings in between those frames we did, so we end up with the same length of the walk cycle, if this makes sense. Let's see. So you can see now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And with the 16th image, we have completed our cycle. So now we have double amount of drawings within the same amount of time, which gives us a more fluent animation. It's on twos. That's what you call animating on twos. Like each drawing occupies 2 frames in our second. We have 24 frames per second, which means 12 drawings a second. All right. Hope I still haven't lost you there. So I try to play this animation, although lately I have problems with the frame rate. It drops drastically when I play it in Photoshop. Still don't have an idea why, but this is our animation. It stays on 24 frames per second, which is good. So this is our animation cleaned up on twos, which looks much more fluent as we left it on our first draft sketching. And this is basically, for me, our finished result. We could have left it off on the 4s, every drawing 4 frames. It's a fluent animation, it's all right. And depending on the budget and the needs and on the whole project, you could definitely say, let's leave it on the 4s, because if you do it on 2s, it's double of work, because not only do you have to draw in between those positions, like the exact in between with the lines, you have to do it all over again for each detail, which here is our specular lighting, which are those highlights here. You would have it for each fill color. We have reduced it on 2 colors, basically because we don't want to spend like 10 streaming episodes just doing a cleanup. Then we have our halftones here. So you see there comes a bunch of process for each kind of detail that you want to add in your animation. So walk cycles for me work perfectly on 2s. When you have a run cycle, which means that the movements are much faster, you even want to consider drawing each frame a new drawing. So you have a very, very fluent animation, which makes sense when you have very fast movements. All right. That was the first 2 episodes. Last time let's leave them open for now. What we did last time on Wednesday, we were looking at a reference video of a skateboard doing a kickflip. We took a few keyframes of the movement of the video in the video as a reference to draw our own character on top of it for the exercise. As I've never done a skateboard trick, I've never animated such a thing. I wanted to make sure I first get the reference right and then add a design on my own. So here we tried to keep it quite realistic, and we got this animation of our kickflip. This animation already has been done on 2s, so we didn't take 4 frames for each drawing, as the movement here is very, very fast. And if we would have done it on 4s, I think the kickflip wouldn't really have worked out. So now the idea of that exercise was to actually use the design of our tentacle boy, so our tentacle boy can do this trick. Well, since Wednesday I was obsessed with this animation, as I really wanted to get this right, and well, the guide was all right now, but I still was a little bit nervous about using only this guide to get our tentacle boy animated, because I felt like, okay, there's still too much room to get wiggle and weird movements, as it's still not fluent, the movement, right? So that's why I did some extra work between the last streaming and this one. I cheated, but I felt that I have to do it. So I cleaned up a little bit of our last animation just to make sure the proportions are right and the whole movement works out. And I did a new timing, which means I divided most of the animation. So the drawings only take 1 frame. Unless I wanted to slow down a little bit the movement. And what I try to achieve, maybe you can see here. So the movement is much more fluent as it was before. And I've never done an animation on once, to be honest. And I love it. It's just so much more work, but it works. Like now you can definitely see the way the skateboard is rotating, and you definitely can see all the details in the movement, how the arms go up, go down. It's so much clearer, and there's no space for weird interpretation or misinterpretation of the movements. This is one thing that I added. The other thing that you probably notice, in some images there are like dynamic swooshes or whatever you want to call them. And I added those as the movement is still so fast in some moments. And in order to get the right idea of the movement, I added some dynamic lines. I actually don't really know what if there is a specific name for that, but if I scroll down, look, I even missed the skateboard here. But if I scroll through the images, you can see these weird images, right? Now that you've seen it, look again on the animation. All right. And those are images that I mentioned them in a previous episode. Sometimes when the movement is that fast, you probably have to draw 4 arms instead of 2 arms, which is basically what I've done here. I didn't really do the whole arm, but I thought, like, if it's very, very fast, this arm shoots up, he's gonna leave some kind of motion blur, which means if I colored that out, that probably this would have the same color as the arm here, because this is just like a blur that goes through the image. So that helps a lot to get it more dynamic. And the same thing was here. As you see, from this pose to that pose, we're missing the whole movement of the arms here and the whole movement of the hands. So those are just basically lines that help our eye to understand how the movement was actually, what happened from one image to the other, as it's so fast. This is one thing I added. The other thing is where we were talking about one technique where if you would like to have an animation of a skateboarder, you basically could load in some kind of video and just trace image per image, which would be a perfect animation of a live action scene of a skateboarder. But you wouldn't probably have the feeling like it's actually animation, because it would be too real. And sometimes the techniques that were developed in animation, they break what actually would be a correct physical movement or whatever. They break joints and whatever to make the animation actually look more natural or fluent. This is why there are 12 principles, and one of them is a very important one, which is stretch and squash. And that means basically that volumes, depending on their movement, they stretch out, they change their shape, although they keep the volume consistent. So a cube that is stretched out may get longer, but on the same time gets how thinner, maybe that's the word. So the same thing can be applied on this animation. For example, the down movement of the skateboarder, as this one I wanted very, very dynamic, like he smashes down and the movement goes so fast from basically this image to that one. And that's why I wanted to stretch out this arm here. If you see from this pose to that pose, this arm is so much more stretched out, as well as this one. The legs are stretched out. And this just makes some kind of a bridge from one drawing to the other and makes it more fluent, as you see here. All right. This is one thing that helps to make the animation look more organic. And I couldn't stop there, as this would have been like enough for knowing which poses actually, how poses should look like. And our Tentacle Boy could be perfectly adapted to this movement. But as I really liked the animation, I continued on this. And what I've done so far, and I cleaned up the sketch and I added more details. And I wanted to see how far I could get to really make a realistic animation. So this is the animation. Let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger. So I added a t-shirt. I added the hairline. I added the face, but also like very reduced. And what I did, I actually wanted to have his hands be more limp and go more with the movements, as you want to see. Like the previous version, we basically worked only on with fists, as they are very easy to draw. They are easier to draw than open hands, in my opinion. And hands are very tough. Like I'm struggling all the time with hands. So after that one, I thought like, okay, like with the fist, it's not very difficult. I was able to handle that. But maybe we can draw on top of the hands. For example, if when he goes down, like in my opinion, you don't do the fist when you land a trick. Like you use all your body to keep balance, and doing that with a fist, I don't know. Maybe well, everybody has his own technique, but for me it felt better. Like here, he's very tense. Okay, now he's just preparing for the jump. He jumps, and the moment where he actually is in the air and starts to catch like the or fighting with balance and keep everything in balance, the arms go up, and with them extension, the fingers. And then here, like the arms, they swing, and the fingers are extension of the arms, and then he goes back like so. And this is actually a really good technique, I think, that I just learned. If you struggle with hands, start with fists. Like fists are pretty easy. Let's jump into just a quick idea of a fist. What I thought how I do them. Like you can, if you start from the beginning, like you have to think about this shape and the block, which is the base of your hand. Then probably here you want to divide this into 4. These are the fingers. Then actually this is not really a flat shape. It's more like how do you call it? Is it a trapeze? Something like this, right? And then here you have your fingers, and they just extend. So obviously And you see, I'm struggling like hell here to get this very easily done and just seem like I know what I'm doing, which I don't. Okay, so instead of doing that, I want to draw like a fist, and I only want to separate the index finger, and all the rest like those is the rest of the finger, and then you have a thumb that disappears in there. And so I always try to just get the thumb stick out a little bit, like so. Here comes, oh sorry, the index finger, and here, like you see, this is actually a really shitty hand, but it's we didn't draw perfect hands on this one, but it was enough to get me an idea where the fingers are actually at. So for example here, now I just know that the index finger is around here and the other fingers so I build on that fist. And this hand is not even actually real. He has 4 fingers, but actually sometimes I prefer 4 fingers if I don't have to do it very realistic. It changes a lot of your character if you do 5 fingers or 4 fingers. 4 fingers definitely gonna make it more cartoony. So what I actually wanted to show you, as you just saw, like hands are very difficult. So this was not just a thing that I did. No, I spent quite some time to get the fingers right. And I got so far that I actually wanted to clean it up. And this is our final kickflip animation that I've prepared for today. So we can get our tentacle boy to do the same trick. And another thing that I wanted to show you that I actually did already in this version when I split the drawings and just did on every drawing 1 frame. You see here there are larger they take 2 frames, those drawings. And I did this on purpose as well as here, because wherever the ones are, we have very fast movement. See, like this. And then when he hits, when he's in the air and the first impact of the foot on the skateboard is over, the skateboard slightly slows down in this rotation, and as well does the body and the whole character as he's in the air. And I wanted to get some kind of a slowing down effect, slow motion, but then the moment he catches the board and slams it down, I wanted to have it really quick. So that's why I chose to keep those drawings on 2s and not changing them on 1s, just to make sure I slow it down, so to make the impact afterwards even bigger. All right. So I think we don't want to have this as a reference, as there are basically so much details that don't have anything to do with our tentacle boy. not even the hands, so I don't need this detailed version of the animation. I probably want to have this one to choose exactly what kind of pose I want. And I think we can draw on top of that. And I'm saving this. Let me close that one. Nope. And we save this one as our episode 4. So, anybody out there having experiences with drawing on 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s? What is your approach to all that? Any opinion on animating on 2s, 3s, and 4s? As I say, I'm always trying to do the 2s because that looks obviously much smoother than on 4s. But now, as I figured on 1s, it looks amazing. I probably gonna struggle from here on to not be to the temptation to do it as on 1s, but well, we're gonna see. I guess I said time is definitely a critical factor on this decision, and probably will be only the case for personal projects. Okay. So we want to start off with this pose, and we're probably gonna bring in our tentacle boys so you have a reference while we do that. Where is he? Okay, here's the tentacle boy. Where we at? I just updated and all right. So we animate this one. Let me see. Maybe we can just bring it over without the background. Just gonna bring over our character. Duplicate the layer in our episode 4. All right. So we could keep him over here while we draw here. Okay, let's create a new animation layer and see where this is going. Let's get a pencil kind of thing. Pressure sensitive, and I'm happy. Okay. I reduced the opacity. Something I do. And then we start off. Okay, let's see. I think the most, well, let's start with the legs. Probably. He's really small. Or is this one too big? Okay. So the legs will be attached to the lower side of this cube here. Let's call this the cube, the torso, and our body. So it's gonna be like so. Our legs are gonna be attached here, and we want to get probably the body already right. Let's see. So I think we first have to figure out like a way, like the perspective. So he probably should be Maybe that's a good volume shape for his body, or you make it even wider. Or no, this is not wide, this is depth. We make it, do we make him deeper? Is this the word we want to use? Make the character deeper. This would be a legit art director thing. Not really, because I think we're not supposed to see that much of it's not that much bent. We're gonna see, because as this is cartoony, we probably wanna exaggerate at certain points. We now just have to figure out which parts we want to exaggerate, like the way he bends to the front. Is this something we wanna exaggerate? Yeah, this is definitely gonna be the challenge. And I feel we still, perspective wise, we still see too much of this side. But let's try this. So here are the legs. This one supposedly is, maybe I draw in some knees to get it with the perspective. Here we don't have knees. I just put them in so it makes sense for now. This is the knee. And I already definitely feel like we're completely out of balance. Like the shape is way too much below, behind the. Now he seems like, if we see it from the side, he looks like this. And here would be the skateboard, which doesn't make sense. So he just falls off. So we need to correct that. And we want to have his feet more like this, so it's more balanced. Or if we actually want those legs to be bent that far, we need the shape to be more bent. So we get the weight of the body to be balanced, like this. All right. Let's keep this in there. Okay, I want the legs to be really bent like that. Like so. We now get a little bit off our reference. So we don't have to insist too hard to keep it like very exactly here should be the arm because the reference has its arm there, the reference, so there's nothing wrong with not getting it exactly right. Oh, what, not right, but to get it exactly the same. So maybe something like this. Now I bring in his foot and this foot, and so you see we already have directly another perspective. We basically see him from the other side as oh, okay, brilliant. Because here it feels like the shoulder goes into this direction. This is grouped while this is straight, so we have a kind of our body is twisted because this shoulder, the force goes to the back. See, it just figured like we are drawing on the wrong layer, but well, doesn't matter. I'm wondering if we want to keep this. Actually, no, we want to start over again. Let's try to do it again. It's the beautiful thing of a live stream. This could go totally downhill in your life. Just see how everything I've worked for now goes down the drain. Okay, now I try to I do some kind of a twist here, and I see how this works out. I think that could work. All right. So maybe we want to draw. We could now continue just animating this cube here, which actually would make sense. But before we do that, I really want to work out first the first pose to see if this actually works as I intended it to. And then I probably can continue. I still feel this has to be more balanced. Okay. Now his one tentacle will be like so. Here we want to see the... Oh, I didn't look up the tentacle things. If you actually made it through the last stream, you probably know what I'm talking about. I don't know how those things on the tentacle are called. Always had the intention to look them up, how they called. If anybody watching knows how they're called, we're dying to know the name of those things. Okay, so we bring in our beanie. It's getting really messy. I still see where this is going, so stay with me. We're probably gonna clean it up in a second and make sure it actually works. Here we want to have a foot. This slippers. Now the heel here is up, but the slipper is on the board. Something like this. Oh, wow. Totally clear what we're doing here, isn't it? Let's try to clean this up. So let's get a little bit more opacity on the stroke. Okay. So here, this is our mustache. Okay. Here comes our beanie. We don't see much of the eyes, or nothing from the eyes, as well, there probably would be some kind of here, but because of the perspective, they're hidden beneath the beanie. So this would be something like so. Come the legs. I haven't added any sock here. Do this now. Already put in some large shadows to make it a little bit clearer how it's going to look like afterwards. Slipper. Still looks really crappy, which is fine with me, as I know where this is going. You still can handle a little bit of crappiness here before we reveal pretty decent animation. Hopefully. And So now, this is not exactly what I went for. He doesn't look really as he's he's about to do a kickflip. Hey Chris, nice to see you here. Happy you made it. Oh, the suction cups. Thanks a lot. Now we have actual advice from a native copywriter. Chris told us just now those are suction cups. And arms are called suckers. All right. Well, I think I prefer the suckers. Tentacle things were all right, but now look where this live stream has evolved. If we haven't learned anything about animation, we definitely learn about octopus anatomy. So this is not working for me. And I'm sorry this didn't work out in the first place. So I do it again. And that's the thing. I'm pretty positive that this won't be the last time I screwed it up. Okay. Let's see. I now just keep the size exactly the same as the body of the skateboarder, and I feel he's more in balance because of this arm. Well, it's much. Let's see, I probably want his heel to finish at this point, so I get the balance right. I have to figure where the force is coming from to make the right decisions. Hopefully the right decisions. And even the wrong decisions, there's still the slight hope of happy mistakes. So try to stay positive. Okay. Maybe we want to get some kind of the hand gesture in the tentacle. Still not feeling it. This tentacle. Mm-hmm. Still not 100% convinced here. Okay. Feels like the legs are too, or the feet are too close together. Okay, this starts to look like something or somebody who's about to do a kickflip. Hey Sebas, I'm very, very good. Thank you so much for writing on the Twitch channel. I think I'm gonna stay in Photoshop. Until now, I did all the episodes in Photoshop, but would be absolutely happy to show process in other programs as long as I'm familiar with the program, or even if not, like we could do a test of a new program as long as it's accessible. Do you have any program you use for animations, or would you like to see some software? Would you like me to see? Would you like to see me doing animation in a certain software? I think that's the correct way to form the sentence. I am familiar with animate, although I use it mostly just for cleanup. I am familiar with Photoshop, and if I'm not on the desktop, I use the rough animator on the iPad. So those are the options I can give you. I would definitely like to do a live stream testing the free software Gritta, I think it's called. I've never tried it. I think I downloaded it once, but never had the chance to actually dive into the software and the interface and all that stuff. So that would be pretty interesting to do. And if anybody already has experience in Gritta, let me know what you think about the software, if it's worth trying it. But for this purpose, I think it would make sense to stay in Photoshop, as we have those halftone patterns here, and they are going to be very, very, well, there's always a way to do it, but right now the only way that comes to mind to do this, for example, in animate, I think it would be more complicated, as it should be. All right, so Sebas already tried some animation softwares, although he's new to animations. He tried Moho and... No, you heard about Moho and Toon Boom, but you work in Cutout. animation style in After Effects, which is perfectly fine. I used Toon Boom when I started with 2D animation, but as it's a program that is not included in the Creative Cloud, I didn't continue working on it, as I also felt it was quite overwhelming at the beginning, when starting with frame by frame animation without knowing anything about it. So that's what I think is Photoshop, why Photoshop is so good, because you already, or most of the people already know their way around in Photoshop, and with their additional option of a timeline, you basically use the software you already know and probably have used for a long time. That was at least my case. So yeah, I used to work in After Effects. Like, this is still my everyday tool when doing client work, which is not only 2D animation. It's a lot of motion graphics, mostly motion graphics, and this has been like my go-to tool since I started in the industry. And I still think only because of doing frame by frame animation now, I'm still using After Effects, as it's such a good software to add maybe some stuff to your frame by frame animation. But yeah, cutout style. What do you use any specific scripts in After Effects that help you to animate? Like, I don't know. There's rubber hose is quite common tool to do the cutout technique. But it's pretty cool. Even if you do cutout, the things we cover here with the theory of animation, you still can apply all that stuff as well. Like, if you watch the other 2 episodes where we covered the simple walk cycle, you can apply those poses in After Effects, because although After Effects is keyframe based, I've seen a lot of people doing actually like working as it was frame by frame. So they put keyframes on not maybe every frame, but they not only rely on the algorithms that calculate the movement between one position and the other. So they actually do it manually with the help of a like After Effects makes it so much easier to make a rig. Now I'm struggling here with the. We're getting there. Stay focused. Okay. Like, this foot's giving me the creeps. Let's get a feeling of the board. Where's the board supposed to be? Okay, now his foot actually starts directly here at the tail. All right, and getting down. So okay, I think the foot in the back is, now I see I have the biggest problems right now I have with the feet. And I'm very positive, like once we've figured out the first pose from there on, our way towards the final animation is gonna be more fluent. So here it still feels weird as I don't. Okay, now Photoshop is just doing whatever the hell. Lately I have the weirdest problem with Photoshop. Like it's, look at that, like my preview doesn't show pressure sensitivity. No pressure sensitivity, which could be a problem of my Cintiq. Okay, we're pretty. I think I have to restart Photoshop, as there are slight problems with the software, which I don't get. Well, this is one of those things when you work digitally, you're depending on these machines, damn machines, and yeah, sometimes they just don't do what they're supposed to do. And right now it is not doing at all what it's supposed to do. Okay. So I think the heel of that foot should be more to his left. Are we? Oh, we still don't get pressure sensitivity. Son of a gun. Okay. This is not good, but it could be worse. So what do you want me to do? I try to calibrate the Cintiq for a moment. Pan calibration. Calibrate. Okay. Okay. Let's see if it works. Okay, looks good. We're back. We are back. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to change the position of this foot. I want to bring this part sockety sock like this. So that's a problem here now. Now you see like the perspective, like knee would be looking towards us. But I think it's gonna get quite clear once we're in movement. Okay, I think I probably make the board a little bit longer. Suck. Okay. And as we are zoomed in, I think I also want to reduce the diameter of my brush, as it feels like I'm leaving too much stroke on the canvas. I'd love to have it a little bit more subtle. Okay. Now this tentacle is on top of our leg. So this one part we won't see. Okay. So now we are getting somewhere. Still want to see if I can remove the body more to the side. Okay, this could work. I don't know what do you think? Is this a good pose to start with? Maybe just for to make a first run, to get a first impression of how it's gonna look like. Maybe this is not too bad. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you like what you're seeing here, there's always this subscribe button or this follow button. I try to do my best to announce whenever I stream and try to keep it as scheduled as possible. So now I do every other day, Monday, Thursday, Friday. Working on the hours and for now it's at 2 p.m. I have to figure out if I at one point gonna stream as well in the evening. It seems like there are more people that have time. I always thought like I do it on the afternoon for people that probably now work on some kind of project and would like to listen to something other than music throughout this 2 hours. That was the initial thought. But we will see where this is going. Well, what I wanted to say, you definitely help me out by liking, subscribing, following, commenting, and whatever, because until now, this is our 4th episode in the really, really World Wide Web. in a world where there are, I don't know how many millions of streamers. Some guy with a creepy naughty glove drawing 25 images just to have 1 second of animation may not be that highlighted if there are no followers, subscriptions, likes, or comments. So don't sweat it. I don't want you to take any inconveniences. So just enjoy the show. That's fine with me as well. All right. So for anybody who knows about skateboarding, I think the problem with this pose is he looks like a heel flipper and not a kick flipper. So it seems like he's gonna kick the board with his heel and not with his toes, but we will see. So this is the pose we had before, and this is the pose we have now. It looks more realistic, this one, like, than this one. Okay. So yeah, let's still keep it in there. And we're gonna stay with the 2s, which means I make it a little bit longer, this drawing. And also duplicate it and move it slightly back so we get the sensation of animation. Look at that, we are animating. Okay, the first, we are 1 hour 20 in and we get our first animation result. How is that? I don't know if you watch regularly streams. I'm fairly close to it. Still looking for the right channels that I may enjoy. And it's a fascinating thing. And there are people. You actually see for how long this person has been streaming. And there are people that stream like for days. Just follow Sebas. Way! Thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate it. And yeah, sorry for the how do you say that? I don't know. It's not. It's publicity. Is it publicity? Yeah, but you know how it is. It's hard out there, the streaming business. Okay, now let's see. We want our onion skin, so we have a slight idea of where our previous drawing was left. So now he's pushing it down. So now his slippers maybe here. He's got a fairly small board for this kind of feet. Oh, and what is your opinion on music while you're watching streams? I decided not to put in, I think I mentioned that before. I decided not to put in too much music, at least. As I feel like you probably want to listen to your own music while listen to this, and I think it would be too much to put music on the background. But I already reached out to people, to musicians I know, because if I put in music, I would love to promote other artists as well. So I was thinking about a specific segment for music within the stream to present artists. Still haven't figured out the criteria for those artists. If it should be music that I like, or if it's just artists I respect. Okay. So now we start. Now here we need a stretch of the shape. And we probably see this side of him. What we want to know now is, and that's why I wanted to have this anatomy quite detailed, to actually see which direction the whole arm, so in this way, in this case, the tentacles go. So now here they go slightly to the back. And so, see how we're gonna show this slightly in the back. No. Okay. Here we're gonna see the suckers. This one as well. So our beanie will be pushed up. Is this something we want to show, or do we just ignore it? So now as he rises, his mustache is gonna drag behind to create some secondary animation. Afterwards, when he reaches the top, the beard comes after him and just pops up. Okay. That looks all right. So we want to keep that. New one. Well, I think I'm pretty familiar now with the reference. I hope you don't mind if I close it. So one foot, the other leg, the other. Okay, we slightly probably want to see, let me see, here we actually won't see the top of the beanie, as the perspective is basically like so. And then here, maybe a little bit. So. The volume seems pretty, he seems now very wide. We check out this one and that one. I like the pose. He seems like he's upset and like, ah, like a little child. It's maybe bring him down a little bit. So. The mustache is dragging behind, like the direction where he's coming from. That's why this one is a little bit more curvy. Holy. Okay. And we're gonna have our legs. This one slightly higher. Okay. And I'm already wondering what would be the next thing we should animate. Tommy suggested a skateboarder, which we are right now doing. And I'm grateful for the suggestion. Although I always want to do it, I was kind of freaked out thinking about the movements. Yeah, but well, the first test was already quite successful. We're gonna see how we can adapt this for this character. But once this is done, I definitely feel like animating skateboard tricks is pretty fun. And because you actually can make them look like you think it's the most stylish way to do a trick. At least that's what I felt when animating this kickflip, like really slowing down the movements when he's at the highest point and then slamming it down as he crushes down, which looks so cool. And although I'm not skating anymore and I never was good at it, I still feel like it's a very aesthetic sport. And I really got into the SLS, like the Street League. I called Street League, I don't know, on those competitions. And it's insane, like the level of skateboarders nowadays. And it's amazing how, the amount of money they can make nowadays. Because as it's sponsored now by the big ones, as Nike or Nike, they make like fortune winning those contests. And I don't think that they were even able to do that much money back in the 90s just by skateboarding, as skateboarding was basically, I don't know, the nerd sport. Not sure. Okay, this is what we have so far. Whoop. Okay, what is the next pose we want to have? Let's continue on the twos. It's just not working. Okay. So now want to start again with the volume of the body. So this made like caused a lot of problems before. So the legs are lifting up, which means the volume is gonna be bent even further down. And now the beard. See if this is the moment where he pops up. Because the animation, we are already moving slightly down. We hit our, well, here's the peak. Maybe wait until actually the whole body goes down and let the mustache still be enough. This no. Okay. So we see a little bit of the loose side of the slipper. So, and here we are still looking at the upper side. So this one drags behind to get more of the movement, the force that here we could even afterwards, like for example, we could easily stretch this out like so, which will make it even more organic and dynamic afterwards in the animation. Okay. Okay, we'll stick with the arms of our guide for the, like this is looks like hardcore kung fu. Maybe we're gonna see later at which point we're gonna make the tentacles a little bit more curvy. But right now it feels like the force still, he's stretching them as far as possibly to reach the highest point for the trick. So. All right. Okay. I think we're gonna delete this last drawing. We're never gonna use it. This was the first intent of a good pose. Well, we get an idea, and I like it. Like I really think this will look pretty cool with our tentacle boy doing this kickflip. And now this is so nice to work with the guide we did before. As I now can only concentrate on getting the shapes right, and the timing is already, we already figured out the timing. And I pretty much like the timing of our animation. All right. Okay. Okay, I also now feel much more loose drawing. I feel like I got a little bit nervous at the beginning with the first pose, as it didn't really go the way I was hoping. But now I think I see a little bit more clear as well, like knowing what kind of details to put in. Now I leave the socks out, and here the sock bands, and really just try to get the pose of the volume the way I imagine it. No. And it's still pretty messy, everything, but that's the thing when you do something the first time. The chances that you're gonna mess it up are pretty good. So maybe you want to try it the first time, like to give it a run, then you see, I don't get the perspective right, and that's where I start to break down the shapes, the whole animation, until a point where I think I now get it. And that means like I don't draw all the details. I try to break it down into simple shapes. And I see it still doesn't work. I break it down even in simpler shapes until I actually only get left some kind of a cube, a ball, and whatever, a cone, let's say. And the better you get, the less you have to actually break down your drawings into those shapes. You still do it, but it's in your head. So you jump all those steps ahead, and you're gonna be able to draw exactly what you wanted to draw in the first place by making all your decisions as you draw it with simple shapes, but it's all in your head. So your process is gonna be faster as you don't have to break it down into this very detailed stuff. So you can work less detail and less detail and less detail until the point where you actually can draw it just from imagination. So here now the beard will start with a up movement as the arms do. So now he's moving back and those ends of the arms are dragging behind. Okay. Okay. This looks good. You now see we already do it on twos, which probably would have been the first choice would have been like on fours to keep the workload under control. And so now it's getting this, the feet or the legs are still in the up movement, which means like we still have to bend our body volume further down so this edge gets closer to the camera. Okay. Still, I only have a little problem. Like we're running out of space to bring in our beanie and our mustache here. Later, I want to actually see how visible this is going to be. And saying that, I just remember that there was one other thing that I realized when I made the cleanup of our last animation, the guide for this kickflip. And as I did the cleanup, I had to think about some style I wanted this animation to look like, which I came up with this style here. So it's quite reduced. I did it very roughly with the lasso tool. So I just traced it and really didn't care about curves and all that stuff. So I got this kind of aesthetic, which I thought would be really cool to have like some kind of low poly style. But then when I played it, I figured out like you don't even see those details. You see the highlights, the white flashes and highlights, but you could also have spent like very much time tracing everything and really cleaning it up. But once you push play and you have like a lot of movement and quick movement and it's not in the same position, you don't need that much detail in the cleanup, which is good to know because this can save you a lot of time. This is, by the way, who hasn't seen it before, this is our reference we did partly last time, and we want to animate our tentacle boy doing the same thing, and we're on our way, and he's gonna do it. He's gonna crush the kickflip. So now I want those tentacles to have a slightly coming forwards and see like something like this. It's a pretty cool pose. And lately I've been doing a lot of figure drawing, although not on live nude models, but just looking for cool poses and photos and trying to capture the movement. And the exercise of the cleanup for our guide was pretty cool exercise to, for each pose, get the right movement captured in just this one drawing. Which later ends up as a whole animation where each drawing is kind of a figure drawing. Okay, very roughly here. Okay. So now the beard starts with this movement. Here it seems already like a very big, like the legs flop from this to that. It seems a little bit too harsh. But we see how the animation is gonna continue. Okay, we're missing the skateboard. And next one. Okay, now we're going down. See, the legs are still lifting a little bit. They're getting closer to the body. Keep just take the shoes of our reference as a reference, which makes sense. But later I probably want to check if it's working with the kind of foot we are drawing for our tentacle boy. Okay, this looks good. So okay. I think now body seems to the upper body seems to start to unbend. It's pretty. So he opens up again as we're starting with our down movement. And now the mustache just flies off. See the dynamic that the drawing gets with this movement of the mustache. Okay, right. Okay, now we're getting the tentacles even closer. See if this is a good way to move them. Mm-hmm. Doesn't look right. All right. Yeah, this one, not sure about the tentacles here. Tentacles. I think it's called tentacles. Chris, if you're still here, is it called tentacles or tentacles? I think yesterday I saw some kind of documentary and they said, I think they said tentacles. And I thought, huh. All right, we have 4 streams in, animating tentacles. In this episode, we're gonna animate tentacles. Just you know. And I wasn't mistaken, like I just, tentacles are a whole another thing than tentacles. Get it? Okay. Okay. It's looking good. And we are about to get down. I think we now wanna already have contact with the board. Talking about the board. Oh. And here go the legs. Now, I think this is the most. Oh, we wanted this one. Okay. Turn back with the legs. Body. Start again. I did the wrong drawing in the on our guide. So now we're starting to rotate down back on the lower side of our cube here. I think this is the moment where the face is turned like the looking directly down on the board as it catches it. Okay. This is good stuff. Neck and legs. And the arms. Go back. They open up again. So now we're gonna have our tentacles move this way. As when we move it, as they go out again, like so, this end still drags behind. Here as well. Here we're gonna see the suckers. Let's see. So now I take this drawing. Now, interesting here is we see a little bit of this side. Also more stretched as we moving down. The whole body is stretched out a little bit thinner as before, as like so. Whoop, it's good. Then we can actually add some secondary animation later, like the beanie could actually be flying off the head as the body moves down, like the beanie detaches from the head and comes down later. That would be an option later. But for right now, I think it's also when we're gonna see his eyes. And the beard is gonna be pretty stretched out. Down movement here. So. This one we want to stretch out as well as far as possible to make this movement even more dramatic. Just want to get this curves right, this arcs, to really pronounce the, the movement and the forces. Okay. Bum ba-dum. And feel like here we actually should extend a little bit. Like they seem very long, those legs. And for now, I have the feeling like they could be shorter and therefore be more stretched out. And now we're gonna hit the landing. So So you see, when you start off with your first animation, you probably want to look for some characters that are like basically geometric shapes, which is this tentacle boy. And then afterwards, obviously there are more details to it, but in order to animate something, that it could be just some kind of a ball with 2 arms and 2 legs, like rubber hose. And you can animate with those and having quite easily decent results that you can use for experimentation, or actually just start off with stick figures. It's more than enough to let me just pause here for a second. I'm gonna have to get this arm here in of the tentacle. So I want to erase some of the lines I've done so far to make sure I get the tentacles in and not be too much distracted by the other lines. I suppose, as it's a huge tentacle compared to the arm, be some kind like this. And here we have so. Yeah, use stick figures, so this the simplest form of your illustration or character that you want to animate, to just get the movements right. And then afterwards, clean it up so the lines are as clean as possible. This allows you to see if there's any jittering in the lines, which happens when you get like slow movements and you have lines really close to each other from drawing to one drawing to another, and they're not really, they're moving off, and then you get this jittery lines. That maybe you want that. This is it could be like an effect, but when you don't want this, you have to work quite precisely to make sure your lines don't wiggle or jitter, or how you want to call it. Okay. Board. So here is such a huge jump. We're still gonna have one image in between those two, but I probably want to bring in already those lines that help us to understand the movement of the arms. Yeah, we definitely need one more in between where those tentacles are curved the other way around, which makes it more. Now with this curve, you feel the force that they get when they move upwards, dragging behind the ends, and then we want to have them afterwards for the down movement bent like this, which makes it more dramatic and more forceful, the movement downwards to the floor. But this is something we're going to add later on, I suppose, as we did it in the other with our guide. Okay. Okay, now we even gonna see more of our side here. Yes. Okay. Feel like our body's a little bit too thin here. Need more volume. My skin's a little bit scratchy. Let me get a sip. Okay, get our eyes here. Our mustache is supposed right now, maybe see him here. As now, bam, he smashes down. Like we have the whole force now putting the mustache down. And if we lift the beanie on the down movement, like it's coming off the head here probably, when he lands here, bam, bam, then the beanie probably gonna hit his head again. Okay. Good. This was as well a little bit of a struggle I had when I finished off the guide, as it's, well, let me see, a little bit of attention here to get the volume right. Okay, so yeah, the movement of the body when he hits, like if you want to check out just a reference. So when he hits the floor, I felt like this shoulder has to recompensate the whole movement from here and rotates towards the front. So he's rotating his upper body until, all right, here it's not correctly yet, because here, let me see here. Yeah, here I've done it the correct way. So the shoulder moves to the front, it pushes to the front, And now from here on, it starts to recompensate again and gets to the normal position. Now it's getting on the opposite direction again. This makes sense. So, whoop, goes to the front of the shoulder and then already getting back. And I had quite some trouble to get this movement right, but now it feels organically like he just compensates the whole power that comes down with him. In order to stay in balance. So here, let's see, let's get a bigger volume. Okay. This is our beanie. Here goes the tentacle. The tentacle, man. Once you have those ill pronunciations in your system, we're gonna lift it even higher. Now this looks off. Oh, those legs are not the same as here. Something went off on its way. So we probably want to bring it. Let's shorten those legs. Why is that? Is this because everything else is so much smaller now? Let's, before we shorten the leg, let's get the rest bigger. Let's see if this makes sense. Well, it doesn't seem like there's any. The upper body doesn't seem to be shrinking, so that was definitely not the wrong choice to make this bigger. But still, the legs are way too long. This is also, I think, Toon Boom. The software Toon Boom for 2D animation has this kind of feature. At least I think I saw it online, where you can save one of your images as a reference to make sure something like that won't happen, because it can happen, especially when you do straightforward animation where you don't have an end pose and a start pose. It can definitely happen that you finish off with a way smaller character than you started, as it shrinks during your animation process, which is one of the downsides of straightforward animation, where you just start animating, do the next frame and the next frame, and then just look where it's going. And this is definitely something you want to take care of. Make sure your volumes, your character doesn't shrink. Okay, now he's rotating back. Still feels too narrow. It already feels like the feet are way too far away from the body. We're gonna see if this is true. Like he lifts quite far up, and actually the body should stay more or less in the same height. So okay. And here I want the arm to be lifted a little bit higher than it was before. Yes, although the body already starts to rotate in the opposite direction, the tentacle still continues the up movement. Oh, here we also have our okay, like this. Our other tentacle. And I want this also to move up. And now getting back. Let's orientate a little bit on the previous image. Now I'm focusing more on the onion skin than on the actual guide, as it apparently already went south with the proportions and all that stuff. Seems too now doing really rough and dirty. Okay, now the arm tentacle starts moving in the opposite direction. All right. So we're already 2.5 hours in. Here's how far we got today. And I'm pretty pleased with the result. There's definitely still some work. But, well, our tentacle boy is doing a pretty good job on his kickflip. And we probably gonna be ready for cleanup on Monday for the next stream at 2 p.m. like today. I wanted to say thank you again to everybody who still who watched the stream today. Thanks for following Sebas, and really hoping you can take something with you. If not, let me know. If so, let me know. I'm really open for constructive critiques. Let me know what you would like to see in future streams, what you would suggest. Let me know. Audio quality, you would like to hear music, let me know. This is a very flexible format. We can reinvent the stream for every episode and then just see what sticks and what works and what you guys enjoy. So thanks a lot for joining in today. And I hope I see you on Monday. Stay safe and have a great weekend. Thanks a lot and see you.